Hello. I thought this video would start with a bit of gratitude, and that is a big, big thank you to so many of you across so many channels, across so many comments and conversations. You know, it can be just one word, something that sort of things click into place, and it's how does this happen? These are words and things we may have observed many times before, but now we see or hear them or are able to interpret things in a way we couldn't before. So what would be the common denominator with that? Surely that must be frequency. When you align your frequency, it just opens up doors. You're able to see things and hear things you couldn't hear before. I'll give you one case in point. It's Modest Mussorgsky's Pictures at an Exhibition. Very well-known piece of music in its orchestral form. But Mussorgsky only ever wrote the solo piano version. It was actually orchestrated by Maurice Ravel. And it's the most well-known orchestration, and it's stuck in my mind a number of times. My eyes have been drawn to see orchestrated Ravel. Well, it was in conversation today. I'm not going to mention names because I don't know if you want your name mentioned, but you'll know who you are. We only had the conversation today. So Mussorgsky's Pictures at an Exhibition, orchestrated by Ravel. What a beautiful message coming from the creative benefactor side. So obvious, and until now I'd missed it, except through this conversational prompt and then click. It's like, of course, why didn't I see it before? So, Pictures at an Exhibition. Look around you at the external world. You are presented with pictures at an exhibition. That's what you're looking at. The presentation of the external world. So Maurice Ravel orchestrated it. Well, vowel shifts and things. More is revealed that it is orchestrated. And also more unravels when you can see that it is just pictures at an exhibition in this reality. If the sky is the lie, and you can see how the land lies, when all of it, therefore, must be an illusion. We haven't even got on to the main topic yet. That was a little sort of tangent, but I think, or I feel, a perfect illustration of when you see not time in the way we're programmed to see it in a negative sense, but if you see the beauty in the timing. Because when you are observing the timing, it is in the present. Whereas when you're considering time, it's memory and comparison of the past. So it's not in the present, but the timing is. And this is beautiful to just watch unfold by staying neutral. The material world will present you this in its material interpretation. Just look at the richest countries in the world and see that they are neutral. But it comes down to this often quoted saying. Thank you, Lana, for this. Lana A La Bonte channel. Well worth having a look at. As within, so without. That's said so many times, but do you really hear what's being said? What is as? Well, the A is the alpha, so it's the primary source. The S is spirit, so it's the primary spirit. So it's within you. Now you sow without. Well, think of like sowing seeds. So as within, as the primary, then you want to be putting out. So wherever you focus your attention, you are feeding energy. So the energy and the focus you give, you are saying, and you are putting out an energy that it matters, and therefore it does become material, a solid object. Follows exactly the same blueprint from the idea to the architect's drawing to the construction to the finished solid product or object, in that particular case a building. So as within, so without. This was something that Jason on our KX channel mentioned and quoted. It's Isaiah 19:19. We go to the handbook, the book of the knowledge of good and evil. That's exactly what it is. I'm just going to read what this verse 19 of chapter 19 of Isaiah is to start off. In that day shall be an altar to the Lord in the midst of the land of Egypt, and a pillar at the border thereof to the Lord. Hopefully you like where this is going. First off, Isaiah. Well, what do I see when I look at that? I see is AI. Ah. Now if I reverse it, I see a higher, H-A-I, higher, A is. I see a higher primary presence. But I also see there's an AI involvement. So Jason has identified that the Great Pyramid of Giza is that altar and that pillar that is in the midst and also at the border. Now you have to, as just a very quick explanation, which he has shown, we're talking about the external here. The first United Kingdom, Upper and Lower Egypt. So you've got the Upper Egypt, so that pillar, that pyramid is on the border, because Lower Egypt is underwater, it's submerged. As the land then rises and it comes into being in Lower Egypt, when it's united with Upper Egypt, now you can see why that pyramid is both on the border and in the middle. But obviously refer to our KX channel if you want to look more into that. But it does unlock a lot. But as within, so without, as above, so below, it's all mirrors, it's all reflections. So let's internalize what that Isaiah 19:19 means. Notice you've got the 1 and 9 and 9 and 1, and the 19 references. I mentioned it on the last video, or last couple of videos, I think it was, and we don't need to go back into that. It's a theme number, but let's have a look at the internal. Let's go within. So the chakra system. Now the human vessel, roughly the midpoint, is between the solar plexus, the gut, and the sacral chakra, the pleasure zone. So when you're being led by that lower I consciousness, and you are very much in the body, and like the body will be looking for food, it's on a sort of survival mode, shall we say, in the material world, and internally it works exactly the same. If you put something sugary in there, it's going to go for the easy option, and the lower consciousness will always take the easy option, the bright lights, the get rich quick, the quick fix solutions and things, which turn out not to be the case. When we talk about spirituality, it's talking about ascension, it's talking about raising, and you can't get a better visual explanation. So if you are at the midpoint of the physical vessel in the material world, well, it is a waste. But if you raise to the heart, so you are heart-centered, so of the chakra system, rather than the avatar, the physical body, the center is now here. So something that is in the midst, it's described in this King James Version as an altar. I suspect the words have been changed. I'm just going on a feeling, I've not actually investigated. But an altar, it's for making sacrifices, it is for giving offerings to. So if you consider the physical heart, it's doing all it can to regulate and help with this constant travelling and flowing of blood through the body, keeping everything organised, keeping everything functioning, keeping everything moving all the time, keeping you alive. So when we're in that lower consciousness, the heart is probably, it's all giving, but it's crying because it is making sacrifices. It's not stopping you do all these things. You can chase all the material things. The heart will still get you there. It's ever loving. It's coming from the heart. So even if you're going down the wrong route, the heart is going to help you. But it knows deep within the heart that it's not the right path. So back to the drawing. So the heart, which is in the center, it's also on the border. Because if you have moved from lower consciousness and you've now moved to this green, neutral, heart-centered, you create that as your foundation instead of from the waist. You can see how it is on the border within oneself, but it is also in the midst as well. And by extension of that, you having this experience in these physical bodies, the interaction between your internal world and the external world, again, it is on the border. If you are aware and you are coming from that heart space, you are in the midst, but you are also on the border with the external world. So, leading on from that, and I've got Square Peg Divergence to thank for posting up a link to a channel called The Tree of Knowledge. Now, there's no coincidences in this world. I'll put the link to a playlist with the essentials. I think it's of something like 83 videos, but well worth listening to. It's confirmed many things I've said over previous videos in slightly different ways, perhaps. She talks about, this lady on this channel, she talks about the Earth being like an eye in the sense of the sort of sky being like a dome, being like the lens of the eye. It sort of confirms what I feel as well. So that's fantastic the way this all links in across all these different channels. In a way, it is being like playing one of those mythological characters called a Fate or a Norn. Well, fate, what is fate? It's the future is not set, except that which you make for yourself. So, therefore, you are weaving the past, the future, and the present together, drawing on all these experiences. Now, there is no time as such, it's just a measurement and a perception that in the five senses and the external can't, it's seamless basically. That's why it doesn't, everything looks real, feels real in this reality, because the sensory ranges of the five senses in the external are actually very limited. So what about all the things going on outside that your five senses can't detect? without a device, for example, none of these YouTube videos or any broadcast or anything would you not be able to detect them. So the as within, so without. Well, you have a processor. The eyes are recording everything. That's why you blink. It's like a shutter on a camera. You're taking images. You're taking in sensory impressions into yourself. Now, when you're heart-centered, you have the ability to now process that information that you're taking in. If you're tuned into the right frequency and you are coming from that heart space, from the midst within you, now you can sow without, you can project out from the heart onto this background screen. It is basically like a CGI, but you project onto that screen, you interact with it. It's like a magnetic exchange where whatever you radiate out, just like a magnet, you will draw that same frequency energy towards you. So, processing inside from the heart and then projecting back out. Now let's turn the question to the without side of it. Let's turn it back to the Great Pyramid. I'm going to pose, and this backs up really what the Tree of Knowledge has said, that these pyramids are machines that are re-energizing water, which contains memory, and flowing water has life in it. It sort of amps it up. When you look at the chronology that Archaics is showing with the building of these pyramids, I would suggest it is a way to counteract the loss of the vapor canopy, because you're not having this moisture, you're now having water, so it's a totally different sort of food source than before. When the world has changed, the environment has changed. Remember, we're in a realm of terms and conditions. Now, you're pretty familiar with the material version of that, but consider the metaphysical terms and conditions also. Terms is time. The conditions, well, now if we put that into the external, what about the atmospheric conditions of this external reality? And therefore, from these pyramids, you have this network then built up. You have church machines, which are healing centers, which again, Tree of Knowledge has shown with what she's tapped into and the information she's able to share. And it doesn't conflict with any of the other information. This all points to exactly the same things all the way through. So the function of the pyramids, therefore, must be very much like the function of us, because I've said that the Great Pyramid is of the same sort of design and blueprint as the human body. When you consider the chakra system, when we talk about the lower and the upper and the center, the heart is in the center, it's the fourth one. So there's 3 above, 3 below, as above, so below. These experiences, and if you think about it, we breathe in and out air. We've got this ebb and flow system, the balance between the two, not breathing in too much or not breathing in enough, keeping that in balance, and also not breathing out insufficiently or not breathing out too much. There's a balance there as well. It's like a pendulum swing. It's like the motion of the waves. So air is just another modality of water after all. So we're breathing in, we're breathing out. We've got this rhythm, this life going. Well, the function of the pyramids, I would suggest, works exactly the same way. And it is all to do to counteract the changing environments of this reality. But of course, this is all a simulation, as it were, that seems very real. But when we're in the game, I suppose you've got to be in it to win it, as it were, to play it and work your way through it. But certainly, I'm finding more and more that if you have this internal pole shift, this polarity shift, instead of going on the way that the system has trained us to and programmed us to look at everything from the negative perspective. So when you ask yourself that question, what is wrong with me? The answer is there is absolutely nothing wrong with you. Your perception of what is happening to you is the problem. But it comes down to, if you see time as an enemy, as something that is being robbed and stolen from you, something you're always chasing after, which is ridiculous when there is only now. But if you remain neutral, you stand back and just observe this magic, because it's a label, it'll do. But you see images, you remain neutral to it, you just watch these things, these stories, these events unfold, and you'll start to see the beauty in the timing. I'm sure many of you have already experienced this. It may be sort of recommended from you from YouTube. It's just the thing you were thinking about, and then it just falls in your lap. You're presented with a YouTube video with something you were thinking about, and it may be comments. I had a perfect example yesterday. Simultaneously, both wrote the word beautiful in a messenger message. It's like a synchronized thought. It's those thought waves. There is a positive benefactor creativity side. Certainly works through art, through all mediums. Painting, sculptures, music, and so on. But when you attune and you tune in to that signal, you change your frequency. But also consider, in this reality, what is the one common denominator across the board with everything? From that external presentation, it is trying to keep you in a low vibration. So it is a low energy vibration is easy for this thing that has followed the same blueprint of a magnet, and it creates its own food. It can digest low vibration energy, but like food, that saying about, oh, that was too rich, it didn't agree with me. When you vibrate on a positive, higher vibration, you're not so easy to digest, and it will follow the same pattern as the stomach again, same blueprint, and the same as humanity when it is in its lower consciousness. It will go for the easy option. It won't affect you, so be fearless. Find it within yourself to close the door to any fear and any doubts, because then you will be vibrating higher. If you are from the heart center, you will anyway. No one says this is easy, and it takes continuous practice, but that's what the system has done with learning the 12 times table. It's repetition. So why not do something? The only thing that's now shifted, and this is something Adrian Elise talked about, it's breaking those contracts, as it were. So the government is not external of you. You are your own government, because you are a sovereign being. You will begin to vibrate at a higher vibration. So the thing that is wanting to feed on your low energy, it won't go for you now. It will go for the easier targets, those that are totally in a low vibration. See how easy it is to break out of this system, as it were. And it is a huge game changer when you change your polarity. and you're not following that system programming, you're deprogramming yourself and you're rewriting, you're overwriting with a positive program of positivity within inside yourself, your vibration changes. Now here's the thing, and I'm sure you'll all experience this already. The higher you vibrate, don't be surprised if you start leaving people behind who can't vibrate on the same level, because you're moving on to a different frequency. But of course, with that, when one door closes, another one opens. You will find others that are on similar frequency. You will resonate with them, because we are just basically magnetic, but the frequency of your magnetism will determine what circle of life that you are now moving in. So hopefully that's giving you another perspective, and I feel it is really important to do that as within the primary spirit, the primary source, to then sow without. So you process what you are observing, weigh it up inside yourself. Now you are overwriting and rewriting it. You are now projecting it back out onto that screen with a neutral, where you're being neutral to it, but you're putting out a positivity that is radiating out, which will just create a positive world around you. You will be presented with all sorts of horrors, because remember, it's a mirror. But it is all a test on your resolve to stay true to self, to stay in total and complete alignment. And to do that, the mind and the gut have got to pass through the heart. That is your vortex up and down your spine. The heart is right in the middle between the two. That is the balance. That is in the midst, but also on the border with the external world. Love to you all, and hopefully that has torn open another bit of the veil. The pictures of the exhibition have unravelled and have been revealed. Love to you all, and ta-ta for now.